How hard was it for you, and what did you tell them?
Yeah, every dude, I couldn't take away the mental struggle, kind of the emotional, I want to use this word spiritual, the emotional and the spiritual battle going on inside of them. Like, do I pull the trigger? Do I kill this kid? Because he doesn't know what he's doing. I couldn't take that away. But what I could do is take away the legal ramifications. So my men are on the Humvees and they're saying, there's bad guys in that doorway. They're hammering away at us, but there's a human shield. There's a woman with a long flowing dress as a human shield in front of her. Can I kill her? And they're saying, Sergeant, do I have authority to return fire? And I, without hesitating, yes, you have my authority, kill her. And by the way, if there's a court martial tomorrow, it will be me because I'm the one that ordered it and not you. Don't flinch, don't hesitate, pull the trigger and kill her so that you can kill the guys behind her. Was she standing in that doorway because she wanted to or because she was forced to? I will never know. I'll go to my grave not knowing that. Does that 9-year-old kid that picks up the AK-47 and the dude that's on my vehicle saying, Sergeant, can I engage him? Yes, without hesitation, engage him or else he's going to kill you. What I could do for them as a combat leader is kind of give them the moral and the military authority to return fire. But the emotional, man, the psychological struggles that go along with that, nobody can do that one for you. Like, you're going to have to carry that one. That's some heavy luggage that you're going to carry for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So were there instances for you personally where kids under the age of 10 picked up a rifle and you shot them?
All around me. There's a scene in the movie Blackhawk Down that to this day, I don't know how it made it in the movie. But I also realized, and this is just where my faith comes in, man. Like, I know my job. I'm good at what I do on the battlefield. I know how to fight and kill the enemy because I've been trained really, really well. But I also know I don't answer to the U.S. government. I answer to a much higher power than that. I answer to a holy God in heaven. And there's a couple of times in Somalia where everybody else around me naturally is returning fire. And I'm like, hold on, guys, wait. Let me see how this thing develops before you just engage this dude in this situation. So if you've seen the movie Black Hawk Down, you see this really old man walking up to the convoy of Humvees. I'm on the Humvees the whole time the battle is going down. And he's carrying like a 6-7-year-old kid who's obviously already been shot and killed by us. And this kid is limp in his arms and he's just dangling there with blood all over him. But this old man is walking up to our Humvees and he really looks nefarious. Like, something doesn't add up here. And like, this is where the sixth sense, the hair on the back of your neck is standing up saying, man, I don't like this scenario. Like, something is not right. So the guy starts walking at us and I'm like, man, I don't know if he's going to drop this kid and he's got a hand grenade he's going to drop in the vehicles. Like, what's going on? But he's walking right at me. And so I instruct the guy in the back seat, like, hey, I need you to put a couple of rounds into the wall right next to him. Don't shoot him, but make sure he knows that those rounds are right next to his nose. And maybe he'll turn around and walk away. And he does it. So I'm carrying a magazine of tracer rounds just so I can mark targets for the 50 cal on top of my Humvee. And I take my magazine of tracer rounds, hand it to the vehicle behind me because I'm still directing fire. Hand it to the guy who's sitting in the back seat of the vehicle and says, I want you to put a couple of tracer rounds right in front of his nose. Don't shoot this guy, but he's getting really close to us now, and I'm starting to get nervous. Put some rounds in the wall next to him, and let me see what he does next. And now everybody's getting nervous, like, hey, he's just a couple of meters away from us, Sergeant. What are we supposed to do? And the guy doesn't flinch. He just keeps right on walking directly at me, like, me to you, look at me in the eyes. And I'm like, this is not good. And so the dude in the back seat's got his crosshairs right on the dude's forehead. And he says, what do you want me to do, Sergeant? And I said, nothing. Just let him go. Let him walk. And he walks right between the vehicles, doesn't even look to the left or to the right, just keeps on walking like he's a zombie and walks through the vehicles and keeps walking to the other side. And I really think this is a dad carrying his son, and he wants to die because he's in such anguish over losing his son. But we let him go. And he walks right through the Humvees and keeps right on walking. And everyone else around me wanted me to kill that guy, wanted him to die before he got to the Humvees. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it because he, at this point, really showed no legitimate threat to us. But man, that was a really tense moment. There was a lot of tense moments. That was one of those really tense moments where I had to remind myself, I may have all of the military authority by the laws of warfare to kill this guy, but I'm also going to have to answer to a holy God in heaven. And
I mean, so ultimately, was it a gut feeling, or what made you not?
yeah,
do it?
ultimate was I cannot kill an innocent man, and this guy right now has I see no weapon and he has shown no threats, but this really looks bad. So until he shows a threat, and then I think he had 5 muzzles, probably had 5 red dots on his forehead, but he didn't know that. So it was like, hey, as soon as he shows a threat, we're going to drop him. But if not, just let him walk through. And nobody lets a civilian walk through a convoy in the middle of a firefight. But I just couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger.
Wow, man, that's intense.
And to this day, man, I have no idea how this makes it in the movie Black Hawk Down, because it didn't show up in the book. It wasn't in the news articles. It's just like I'm watching a movie for the first time, like saying, how the heck did that's the exact same thing happen? How the heck did that make it into the movie?
Were you consulted at all on the movie?
Well, just the actor who played me, like he spent about a week training for this role, and he and I spent about a day together before they left to go film. And he said, "Man, I'm freaking out right now because I've played some real people, but they were all dead.
Yeah,
and now I got to play a guy who's really alive. So you got to help me make sure I get this role right." And he nailed it, man.
It's interesting you say that. 13 hours. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh yeah.
So Glenn and Ty, both really good friends of mine, they were killed there. The main character in the movie, also played by John Krasinski, is also a really good friend of mine. The difference between the 2 actors that played Glenn and Ty, like they did not do a good job.
Yeah.
No bust on them.
Sure.
They never met him.
Right.
John Krasinski did a masterful job of imitating his mannerisms, the way his speech patterns, like the way he stands. Like I was like, holy shit! Like my level of respect for John Krasinski, like 1,000x'd from watching him in that role. Just knowing the guy as well as I do, and seeing him be able to mimic and imitate that was fucking impressive.
Yeah.
It was really neat.
Well, even some of my buddies that were on set, I wasn't there, but my buddies that were on set were saying, Jeff, the dude who played you, he was acting like a ranger on set. Yeah. Like he was the squad leader, and he would step back and let his men eat chow before he did, even though he's just an actor. Yeah. And he was like, they were saying, this dude nailed it, man.
And who was the actor that played you?
Guy by the name of Brian Van Holt. Right. He's done a bunch of other movies, a bunch of other TV, but he did another movie and played another ranger. And I was like, Brian, you should just sign up, man.
Yeah. And do they use your name in the movie?
Yeah.
I'm curious to get, like, when you saw the movie the very first time, what emotions did you have, and what did you think?
Well, first, I was really angry that they were making this movie and using the real name. So I had worked really hard. I'm at the midpoint of my career. I've been in clandestine units the whole time, and I want to stay under the radar. And then I hear the Army, not me, but the Army has given them permission to use the real names. And I was furious, man, because now my cover's blown. I don't really have much of a cover anyway, but whatever cover I had, it's blown now.
Yeah.
And so when I finally got over that, that's when I met Brian, and Brian started talking to me, asking me questions. And I was like, Brian, if you're going to do this, let's do it right. I'll tell you everything you need to know. Actually, he called me from set. They filmed it in Morocco. And he would call me saying, hey, tomorrow I'm doing this scene. Can you tell me what was going through your mind? He nailed it. But when the movie came out, the production studio arranged for a screening for the 3 primary units. And one was in Fort Bragg, one was in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and the other one in Fort Benning. And we're going to invite the families of people killed, the guys that were actually there, and some of the active duty forces. And it'll be the producer, the director, all of the big movie stars, the author, like everybody will be there, and we'll show you the movie, and then we can talk about the movie after it's over with. But no matter what you think, it hits theaters in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So the movie starts to play, the credits are rolling, they got the music in the background and those words on the screens trying to describe what's happening in Somalia. And I remember, immediately I started to smell Somalia all around me. And I started to feel like, I'm getting ready to get on the vehicles and roll out there, and I'm about to get into a firefight again. And I had to consciously, my wife was right next to me, and I had to consciously tell myself, this is just a movie. you're in Columbus, Georgia. Your wife is right next to you. This isn't Somalia. And if had I not told myself that, I think I would have been under, diving under seats and, running down the aisles. It was that intense.
Yeah. I got to tell you, between riding motorcycles, working out a fair bit, traveling on planes, I listen to a lot of music and other podcasts doing research for this show. And I just came on to Raycon wireless earbuds. And I got to tell you, they are a fraction of the price of some of the other big name brands, we'll call them. But they sound fantastic. They work great. The sound quality is amazing. And they stay in. More importantly for me, like taking my helmet on and off or doing lots of different exercises, I always have a hell of a time keeping the earbuds in, and these stay in phenomenally well. They've got 8 hours of playtime, 32 hours of standby time, and they're a phenomenal product. I mean, they feel well built, they charge fast. They're a fantastic product. I'm real stoked to be working with them. And right now, if you go to raycon.com, that's RAYCON.com, you can get 15% off if you use the code MicDrop. So that's raycon.com/MicDrop for 15% off. And again, they're already considerably more affordable to some of the other brands out there. So I listen to them and use them all the time. Fantastic quality. I can't recommend them enough. That's raycon.com/MicDrop for 15% off. To me, I saw that movie and was blown away at how well done it was. Yeah. I thought they did a good job.
It. Yeah, absolutely nailed it, man.
Yeah. If we can take one step back, you've outlined some pretty pivotal and intense moments throughout that engagement. Can you give us kind of the timeline of I know the movie is what it is. Like it's not like it hasn't been detailed, but from your perspective, can we kind of synopsize?
Yeah, 18-hour firefight. My job, I'm a Ranger squad leader now, and my platoon's role is to do the ground forces for every target that we hit. So of the 7 targets that we hit, 6 of them go in by air. 1 of them is an entirely ground operation. But the plan is always go in by air, assault the target building, and then go out by vehicles. So the vehicles launch usually as soon as the air assets get in the air or before they do, so that we're arriving on target by the time the helicopters are pulling off and dropping off and fast roping in Rangers and special operators. I've got a couple of SEALs with me on the Humvees for most of the time that we're out there.
They were shitbags too, weren't they?
Oh, man, those dudes were amazing. Some pretty incredible shooters and SEAL snipers that are with me, and to this day I have the greatest respect for them.
Was Gardner one of them? Yeah, that's awesome. He's been on here.
Yeah, so my role is I'm the lead squad, which means I have to navigate through this labyrinth of city streets, but we don't have maps. There's no military maps. So there's one satellite photo that I have, and then everybody else is using basically like a pencil crayon sketch of the city, and it's just an endless amount of side streets and alleyways. Once you get in there,
all well marked, of course.
You got no idea where you're at and what you're doing. So I'm the guy who's leading the convoys in, the first vehicle in, and usually the first vehicle out. We go into the Bakara market. Everybody knew this is going to be bad. And like you're fully aware, the problem with this one is we're doing a daring daylight raid, and nobody wanted to do a daring daylight raid. But 2 high-value targets and 2 high-profile targets in the same building at the same time never happened. And President Clinton's staff has given us a lot of crap about being there for so long. You got to get this thing done. You got to get out of there. So the JSOC commander, General Garrison, launches the force to go get these guys. And as soon as we get there, man, we're already under gunfire. But it's far enough over our heads that I'm not that worried about gunfire. It's 10, 12 feet over my head. So I'm more concerned about, what's happening on the ground right around me than I am the guys that are shooting at me. Most of the guys that were out there, though, this is their first time legit being shot at, and they don't even recognize the distance between a round that lands 6 inches over your head and a round that goes 12 feet over your head. But one of the things that happened immediately on infill is Todd Blackburn, this young Ranger, missed the rope, and he landed in the city streets head first, and he was already unconscious and hanging on to life by the time I show up at the Humvees. So my boss, the battalion commander, Colonel Danny McKnight, orders me to go fight my way up to block Blackburn's blocking position, get him on a stretcher, get him on my Humvees, get him back to the joint, the JMAL surgeon, and get him immediate medical attention. And when I get up there, man, it's ugly, it's bloody, and he's in bad shape. And I have to put him on the Humvees, and I haven't even been on target for 5 minutes when I'm already taking my squad and escorting Blackburn back to the base. Without going into 2 hours worth of details, on the fight back to the base, we come through the most intense gunfight I've ever been in my life. Nothing is even close. I mean, 10 times more than any gunfight I've ever been in. And hit from every direction, vehicles just shot to pieces, and the dude who's the ranger who's got a machine gun right behind me gets hit in the forehead and killed instantly. And I have to make that fateful call on the radio that tells my boss, hey, Pilla's dead. And just like the movie, man, the whole command net goes silent because everybody just heard, we just took our first KIA. But more than that, I think everybody's thinking, this is bad, like really bad. And I think it's going to be me next. I think that was the thought that was going through everybody's mind. I find my way back to the base, drop Blackburn off. Dominic Pilla, the guy who was shot and killed, they take him off the back of the Humvees. And now I learn that 2 of our aircraft have been shot down. Now, fun fact, 6 Blackhawks are carrying troops that day. Plus we've got attack aircraft in the skies, attack helicopters in the skies. But 5 of the 6 Blackhawks get shot down. 3 of them are able to limp back to UN or US bases, but 2 of them go down in the city. So when the first Blackhawk crashes in the city, Cliff Wolcott's bird, we put the search and rescue force. This is the reserve, right? We put them in at the first crash site. Not 5 minutes later, Mike Durant's helicopter gets shot down. It crashes in the city on the south side of the target. Cliff Wolcott's bird went down on the north side of the target, and now we don't have anybody to go out there. So as soon as I get back to the base, man, my boss is saying, hey, Jeff, need you to get back on the Humvees. Need you to mount up and go out to the Durant crash site and see who's alive out there. And everybody knows, man, we're all going to die now. Most of us shouldn't have made it back to the base the first time around. If we roll back out there, all of us are going to die. And I got to credit the whole support team now, man. You know, we needed guns. We need a lot of guns. So I just asked everybody, like, hey, cooks and the ammo guy and the intel dude and the supply clerk, like, get your gun, get your kit, get on the back of the Humvees because we need bodies. And started to fight our way to the Durant crash site. And that's when we linked up with Homer and some of the other forces from the task force that were on Humvees that were just completely destroyed, like vehicles being pushed that were on fire and immovable being pushed by one good Humvee. Grabbed those dudes, put them on the Humvees, took them back to the base my second time back, and I'm refitting and getting ready to roll back out there because I still haven't made it to the Durant crash site. And this is when the commander says, hold on just a second, man. These are light-skinned Humvees, right? No armor on them. And they're like, man, we're getting hammered on these Humvees. We need some armor. And Les Aspin, the Secretary of Defense, loses his job over this. We had repeatedly said to the National Command Authority and the SecDef, we need armor. And he kept saying, no, we're not sending anything else, man. You don't get aircraft, you don't get armor, you don't get artillery, you don't get naval gunfire, you don't get any of it. It's just you and your buddies get in there, get it done, and get out. So the task force commander calls the United Nations forces and he says, hey, man, I need help. We're in a bad way. And the Pakistanis come with 2 tanks. The Malaysians showed up with armored personnel carriers and another U.S. Army unit that was in there. They all showed up, and about 11 o'clock at night, man, we all mounted this big multinational convoy. Can't even talk to each other, don't even share the same language, don't have the same tactics. But me and my men stayed on the same 2 Humvees and spent the rest of the night out there till 9 o'clock the next morning, taking casualties and killing bad guys. And it was ugly all the way up until I'm the last Humvee to make it back in the next morning.
Man. I mean, it feels like hearing you describe it, it's like I'm sitting watching the movie, but with the dude that actually lived through it. It's pretty amazing to hear you describe it. Throughout that night, from the time you guys left, obviously there was, a lot of close calls and battling it out in those couple of iterations going back and forth. But when you did that final push, the one that you stayed out all night, were there any instances during that entire period of darkness that stand out to you as like the most memorable?
Yeah. There was a couple of really funny things that happened that night. And honestly, if you're a warrior, you need a little bit of humor, else this thing can just, mess with your mind. So the dude who was on top of my Humvee was gunning from a 50 caliber. And he had already been grazed across his forehead and was bleeding down into his right eye. He had an RPG went off on the wall next to him, and he took some flaming hot shrapnel in his right hand. And he actually fell down in the Humvee. His hand is sizzling and smoking right next to me. And I was like, dude, let me pour some water on that. Maybe that'll help you out, because we don't have any medical support out here. So you're just going to have to figure it out. But we're taking gunfire from a 3-story building right next to us. And I mean, we're on the edge of the building, and the guy is on the roof, and he's just shooting down at us. And it's virtually impossible to get around to him because of where he's at. Like the trajectory will never hit him. So we're taking a lot of fire from the building next to us. And the kid on the top 50 cal of my Humvee says, "Hey, Sergeant, this guy is just hammering away at us. We need to do something about him." And his name was Brad. And I said, "Well, Brad, I need you to throw a grenade up there." And he's like, "I don't have any grenades." I was like, "Dude, well, let me give you one of mine. I need you to throw a grenade. But keep in mind, this is a 3-story building. If you miss the roof, it's going to fall right down on top of us, right? So make sure you don't miss the roof."
It's a pretty heavy risk versus reward.
So no, it gets better. So Brad, I hand him the grenade, and Brad looks at me, and he's down in the Humvee for just a second before he gets up, and he has this sheepish look on his face, and he's like, he stalls. I'm like, "What's your problem, man?" And then it dawned on me. He doesn't want to say it out loud. It dawned on me. You've never thrown a hand grenade in your life before, have you? And he's like, "No, Sergeant." I was like, "Hold on just a second. You are an Army Ranger and an infantryman. How is it that you've never thrown a live hand grenade in your life?" And he said, "Well, I was on KP duty the day that they were throwing hand grenades." So I said, "Brad, today is OJT, man. I'm going to teach you how to throw a hand grenade. So here's the deal, Brad. There's a safety. I'm going to pull the safety. There's a pin. I'm going to pull the pin. This has a 5-second fuse, and if you throw it too soon, that dude's just going to pick it up and drop it right back on top of us. So you're going to cook this grenade off in your hand, and I'm going to tell you when to throw it, and you don't get a second chance. You better put it on the roof." So his eyes are as wide as saucers now, because he is freaking out about throwing his first hand grenade. And if he misses, it's going to land literally right on top of him. And I was like, "So are you ready, Brad? Here we go." Pull the safety, pull the pin. I dropped the spoon, and I put it in his hands. And I said, "Now I'm going to count, and you're going to throw when I tell you to. 1,000, 2,000, throw."
Yeah.
He throws the perfect throw, lands it on the roof, boom, no more gunfire from the roof. And I was like, "Brad, consider yourself an expert on hand grenades tonight. You just got the expert hand grenade badge." It was just so funny to watch his eyes when I handed him this grenade, and he looked at the grenade and looked at me totally sheepish, like, I don't want to have to say this out loud. But I was like, "Let me guess, you've never thrown a live hand grenade in your life."
Man.
Well, you're going to have to figure this one out tonight, Brad.
That's incredible. Man.
One of the moments that I think there's two things that really stick out in my mind. When the sun started to come up, we're taking enemy fire all night long, and it's pretty heavy fire. But when the sun starts to come up, we're silhouetted on the street in these vehicles, and the enemy fire gets really intense, and it's coming from every direction, and it's a lot more accurate. We're taking fire from the street right next to us, and we need some support. Our little birds are hammering away at targets all over the place, and we're getting hit pretty hard from a target right next to us. So I call and say to the C2 bird, like, "I need you to cut an aircraft and get over here and strafe this building right next to me." And they find an Apache that comes down and tears up the building, and no more enemy fire. But as we're driving away, I'm the last Humvee out. Like, they made the decision, the last guys in will be the first guy out, which means the first guy in is the last guy out today. And I remember looking down National Street. It's one of the only streets in Somalia with a paved road. It's actually not much of a paved road. But I'm the last vehicle out, and that street, it's about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. It's glimmering like shining gold down the entire street. And I'm like, what on earth am I looking at right now? This town is nothing but dirt and sand and blood. What am I seeing? And then it dawns on me, that's shell casings. That's brass casings. Wow. This road is so full of brass casings that it looks like the ticker tape parade in New York City. Every inch of the road is sparkling from the sunlight from brass casings.
Fucking Wizard of Oz.
We shot that much. I was thinking, we shot that much ammo tonight? That's insane.
Man, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, that image will stick with me. Like, that's a lot of that kind of brass casings is millions, literally millions of rounds of ammo on that street that night.
Dude, that is nuts.